Okay, let's do this. Okay, tara talaga. Hello, welcome to One Take. I am Albert and this is episode 3. Ayan. So sa mga bago dito, basically this podcast is a sort of personal project of mine wherein I talk about at least almost anything from the public space to some of my personal things. And sometimes I do bring on guests, just like last time, last episode, kung saan pinag-usapan natin ng K-pop. I had some friends over to talk about K-pop. Again, salamat kay Nadine, kay Betty, tsaka kay Julia for giving us their insight about the following, the K-pop following. It's really, really interesting. Ang dami kong natutunan and I myself have started listening to siguro mainstream K-pop hits. If you haven't listened to that episode, that is available right now on Spotify and YouTube. Just search One Take with Albert on Spotify and YouTube. Don't forget to click follow on Spotify and hit subscribe and the notification bell on YouTube para hindi nyo ma-miss yung mga premieres kasi sometimes nagpe-premiere tayo ng bagong episodes every other Saturday at 12 noon. Well, K-pop was a hit in 2020 and I think it's also going to be a hit for this year. It will continue its global domination. So congratulations to the K-pop stans. You have done well for your idols. And speaking of the new year, it is 2021 and ewan ko kung ako lang pero pakiramdam ko talaga we've been in this year for more than a month already. Pero kung iisipin mo, we're just ending actually the third week of 2021. And sobrang dami nang nangyari. First off, meron tayong bagong strain of the coronavirus, which is a more infectious, but thankfully less deadly, less lethal. I think they're still gathering studies on this, on how it will affect the vaccine, which is also now being rolled out in the wealthier half of the world. It's not actually equal half kasi concentrated lang yan sa ilang bansa. Pero ayun, nagsisimula na yung vaccine rollout sa ibang bansa. Tayo sa atin, nagtatalo pa rin tayo kung bakit ba yung mas mababang efficacy yung ipinupush para sa atin. Ayan. Also, happened within the first weeks of 2021, nagkaroon ng riots sa America following the certification of Joe Biden as their president-elect. Si Trump ay ayaw bumaba sa pwesto at ipinupush ng kanyang mga taga-supporters na siya talaga ang nanalo kahit kitang-kita naman, malinaw, na tapos na ang boxing at si Biden ang nanalo. Pero more or less, I'm hoping that it will actually be the same. Just less orange, siguro. And on a more serious note, back here at home, we have the case of the death of flight attendant Christine Becerra. And this happened actually on the first day of 2021 on January 1st, right after the New Year's Eve revelry. Siguro a bad premonition for this year. Pero wag naman sana. As in 2020, social media is still a big thing, unsurprisingly, because we are, well, for most of us here in the Philippines, we are still locked up in our homes, hopefully. Dahil nga, etong nga, gaya na nabanggit natin kanina, may bagong COVID strain. So, para hindi na tayo mahawa at hindi na dumami pa ulit ang cases natin at magkaroon pa ulit tayo ng lockdown. Ayan, stay at home na lang tayo. And social media is a way of coping with that feeling of isolation while we are all at home. And kada may puputok na malaking balita, sagap na agad yan ng mga tao sa Twitter at Facebook. And unsurprisingly then, the reactions to these different news stories are varied. There are some who are rejoicing, there are some who are making conspiracy theories, there are some who stick with the truth, and there are just some manggugulo lang talaga. Also, another side of social media that is quite common across all platforms is the culture of memeing. Tungkol sa mga napapanahong balita, napapanahong pangyayari, di ba? It's a fun way actually of informing people, or it's a creative way. It's not a fun way, but it's a creative way of informing people about what's happening in the world right now. Ano ba yung dapat nyong malaman, dapat na mayroon kayong pakialam, ganon. Ayun, it eases the situation and bringing into the spotlight talented and creative content creators. While it's a good thing, I think that we actually need to tone it down, and that's what we're gonna be discussing in today's episode: meme culture, especially in this highly polarized time and in the high time of social media. So I think we can all agree, and this is general knowledge, common knowledge, that memes have been around since the dawn of the recent internet history, nung nag-boom talaga ang paggamit ng Facebook and YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, and Reddit. Oo. Though hindi siya masyado dito sa Pilipinas. And at first, during those times, siguro mga 2009, 2010, 2011, nung nagsisimula pa lang talaga yung paggawa natin ng memes, hindi pa nga natin alam kung ano yung tawag sa kanya dati or kung ano yung basa sa kanya. And during those times, it was harmless, di ba? Parang ano lang siya, a sort of expression. Kumbaga yung katumbas ng emoji na ginagamit natin ngayon, na parang you see this thing and if it makes you laugh, you use this photo or you use this GIF, or if it makes you angry, ito naman yung gagamitin mo, ganun. Examples that I can think of at the top of my head is yung galit na lalaki. Tapos yung mahaba yung baba, yung kumukha ni Babalu, na naging icon, I think, ng 9gag, ayun. At yung si Nyanka, which was an internet sensation, a YouTube sensation. Wow, tagal na. YouTube sensation, ngayon ko na lang ulit yung nagamit, ano. Parang ngayon ko na lang ulit yung narinig yung term na YouTube sensation. Pero yun, it was a YouTube sensation. And habang nag evolve kasi di ba nag-evolve ang internet and ang mga gumagamit ng internet, yung terms of, or yung ways that we use the internet, from not just being an outlet of the mundane things that we think of, and posting pictures of your day, of where you are. So, mula dun sa mga mundane things at tungkol sa mga personal nating buhay, na-convert na siya sa isang platform na literally nakakaapekto sa mga nangyayari sa totoong buhay. So, in a sense, naging mechanism na siya. Isa na siya sa mga gears na nagpapaikot at nagpapatakbo sa kung ano yung mangyayari sa totoong buhay. And with that evolution, with that blow up, with that development of the internet, also developed how memes are created, used, and weaponized in a sense. From being just sorts of mere expressions of your feelings, of people's feelings towards something, it became more, let's say, useful and purposeful, na you started to use memes and the culture of meming into making light of society's issues. So gaya nga nung nasabi ko kanina, we are now using memes to actually inform the people of ito yung nakakatawa, ito yung maling ginawa nila, pagtawanan natin to. Kasi sobrang tanga lang, ganon. One of the people that I follow is yung kay Tarantadong Kalbo, yung kay Kevin Kalbo. I actually like his content kasi parang after niyang maibalita yung isang sinabi ni ganitong spokesperson or ni ganitong secretary or si ganitong chief implementor, ay within a few hours meron na agad siyang content na naisip, comic strip mostly, tungkol dun sa blunder na yon, o kung blunder man siyang maitatawag kahit feeling ko sinasadya na nila. Pero ayun, it's being used to inform people, albeit in a more creative and an unconventional way, about the stories, the happenings, the events that are actually affecting their lives that they may not know about. Pero, in the same sense, siguro nagiging overly reliant na lang din natin sa anong itinatakbo ng conversation online, kung saan napupunta or kung ano yung sinasabi ng mga tao, kung paano sila nagre-react, kung ano yung mga memes na ginagawa nila tungkol sa mga issues. And I think that there lies the problem. Because when we just rely on other people creatively and unconventionally narrating the events, the happenings that are affecting us in the real world, na-oversimplify siya. Na parang from a very detailed and very in-depth narration or information, nagiging oversimplified siya to a point that it can actually cause problems, especially with people who are not fans of getting context or delving deeper and taking with a grain of salt the things that they read online. I acknowledge na in some ways, oo nga, yun nga, maganda na through these platforms, through these contents, through memes din, napapanatili natin yung awareness, yung kaalaman ng mga tao, or the digital audience mostly, sa mga problems at kontrobersiya na kinakaharap ng mundo at ng lipunan. So halimbawa na lang, na-remember, naalala ko yung hashtag wag kalimutan ng 16 billion ng PhilHealth Challenge. So it was a running gag, but in a sense, it's a reminder to people na hoy, may nawawala pa tayong 16 billion mula sa kaban ng bayan na hanggang ngayon ay hindi pa rin napapatunayan at hindi pa rin nalalaman kung kanino napunta, kung saang bulsa nakarating yung 16 billion ng taong bayan na buwan-buwan, taon-taon ay libo ang kinakaltas mula sa sweldo ng mga nagtatrabahong Pilipino at ngayon ay naglahula lang na parang bula. It's a good example of a meme that is actually sparking cultural or societal awareness, social awareness, di ba? And also yung, ayun nga, dahil nung nasabi ko kanina yung ginagawa ni Kevin Calvo, na yung paggawa ng comic strips or pag-present in a comedic and entertaining manner the blunders, intentional or not, na ginagawa ng ilan sa ating mga quote-unquote public servants. Pero, in the same manner, if placed into not as responsible hands, hindi naman natin sinasabi na irresponsible hands, pero minsan irresponsible din talaga. This excuse na meme lang naman to, don't take it too seriously, it's just a joke. Na ganun, nagiging na siya, nagiging free pass na siya para maging kupal at insensitive online in the guise of quote-unquote comedy and quote-unquote humor. For example, there are memes na ginagamit to express implicitly the person's misogyny, racism, homophobia. It exists. I can't think of any example as of this moment, but I know that you know something. Especially kung tambay ka sa Facebook, ayan, sa Facebook comment section, makikita mo to, na there are some jokes or memes or expressions being said online na may underlying tones. And we cannot blame people kasi some of these have long been used before during early days of the internet. It's just that now, nakita na natin na hey, we have to tame ourselves when it comes to the terms and the expressions and how we interact with others online. Ngayon, meron na tayong mas aware na sense na, uy, medyo offensive siya to a certain group of people. And we're slowly but surely learning through this. And we have to be aware that some of the statements that we have been using for the longest time have misogynistic, racist, sexist, homophobic undertones. So, how do we address this? Here are 3 suggestions for me, or 3 reminders. First of all, meme responsibly. So, always remember that clout is a drug. And though clout may get you somewhere, it's just a fad. It's not something permanent. That's something that you have to remember, especially when you're engaging online. Yes, you may have a tweet or a post that may gain 1,000 likes, 1,000 shares, 1,000 comments, 1,000 retweets, and may also gain you some followers or all that guesting sa TV. Pero at the end of the day, after something new breaks out, it will be forgotten and mapapalitan lang siya. So it's just a cycle na parang it's just a conveyor belt na, uy, ito yung nakakatawa ngayon. Pero baka hindi na yun yung nakakatawa sa isang araw. Or ito yung viral ngayon, pero baka hindi na siya viral sa isang araw. We should treat it as a precaution na parang, okay, sige, kapag maraming natuwa, pag maraming nag-engage dun sa post mo, okay, sige, maging masaya na lang tayo. May natulungan tayo na makakope sa loneliness na dinadala nitong lockdown. And of course, let's also be more sensitive and cautious about how we use terms, symbols, especially when posting online and even in real life na din. Maiwasan na natin yung pagkakaroon ng misogynistic, racist, homophobic, and discriminatory undertones sa mga sinasabi natin, sa mga ginagawa natin, at sa mga pinopost natin online. Number 2, learn when things can be taken lightly and when they can be trivialized. So, this actually happened dito sa nangyaring pamamaril din sa mag-ina sa, I think it's in Tarlac, na parang yung mukha ng suspect ay naging sort of a meme na din. Parang meron siyang naka-poker face na pictures na, ayun, ginagamit na siya as a meme na parang, for some people, it may actually be triggering because it would make them remember that story, that video, if they watched it, that very traumatizing video. And it's not something that we can take it easy. It's not something that we can joke about because may namatay doon sa pangyayaring iyon. May namatay doon sa ginawa ng taong yun. So, we have to learn when things can be taken for comedy, when things can be humorized, and when things just can't be the subject of jokes or comedy na tinatawag mo. If it's funny to you still, okay. Pero for the interest of the general public, of the general audience on social media, please take it down a notch. And third and lastly, again, a reiteration, hate speech is not and will never be funny. Okay? So discriminatory, hate, violent threats against other people, they will never be funny. You're not funny. Okay? Ba't ako nagalit? Pero ayun, it's not funny kasi. Hindi talaga siya tama at hindi siya katanggap-tanggap. Okay, so I guess takeaway, a quick takeaway kasi ang haba na nitong episode na to. Quick takeaway from this: be more responsible when you're memeing, and be more responsible and sensitive and smart, knowledgeable when you're using online platforms. If you want to be educated on how to minimize your discriminatory tendencies, be open to criticisms and comments from other people na they just approach you kindly na parang, uy, medyo out of taste tong pinost mo, itong sinabi mo. So, just be open. So, that's the first step. Again, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're watching this on YouTube to get the latest, and to help also the channel and to help me reach more people. I really like doing this, so if you really like listening, please do hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if you want to comment, if you have your own takes on today's episode, you may comment that in the comment section below. You may also, don't forget to follow this if you're listening to this on Spotify. Follow the podcast. Tweet using the hashtag One Take with Albert. Follow the podcast at one take_podcast. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Email for partnerships and features and collaborations. Podcast by albert.lirio@gmail.com. Follow me at Albert Lirio on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Albert, and that's my one take. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.